If you can contain your excitement, we can start this meeting. So happy to see everybody here. Didn't know anybody got up this early in the morning.
All people always get up early.
Okay, good morning and welcome.
Good morning.
All right, Benji.
Thank you. Happy to have you here for this marker unveiling. This is one more building that we have on our list of historic buildings we want to recognize as part of the history of Lake Alfred. And this building is kind of a rare one. It wasn't occupied by people living there, it was occupied by students, and that was very important at the time. So we want to thank the City of Lake Alfred, the Polk County Commissioners, the Polk County Historical Society, and our own Lake Alfred Historical Society for putting this event together. Before we move on with the program, I want to introduce our City Commissioners. Jack Dearman, in the back. Nancy Daly, there she is. Albertus Malsby, I guess you all know him. Yeah, hey, Gibbage here. And we also have some other people in our audience that have graced us with their presence, which we are very thankful for. We have Mayor Tim Pospical from Auburndale, and City Manager Bobby Green from Auburndale. We have our school superintendent, Jackie Bird here, somewhere. She left? Okay. Murtis Young from the Polk County Historical Society is here. And Morris West, Mayor of Haines City, is here. And Leah West, who is the field representative for Congressman Darren Soto, is here. And did I miss anybody other than everybody else that's here? Who's that? Oh, well, I forgot. We do have a city manager. I was saving him for last because he comes up next. So let's see. Okay. Next on the list, as you know, is our city manager, Ryan Levingood.
All right. The mayor has too much fun with that. First of all, I just want to comment, what a fantastic attendance. 10 a.m. on a Friday morning. Give yourself a round of applause. That is why I love Lake Alfred and love Polk County and just the rich history that we come together and celebrate. You know, I can just imagine in other places around the state or maybe even in other cities to where they might have had 5 or 10 people come out and it probably would have been the commission and 1 or 2 history buffs. I know the mayor from Auburndale counts himself as a history buff and is very active with the Historic Society, but to see this type of community engagement is just fantastic. I'll keep my comments brief. We've got a pretty good lineup, but just to give you a little bit of background, you know, Connie, if you'll stand and be recognized, please. Connie is kind of the history guru. Lake Alfred. She has just been so active in the 6 years that I've been here. I remember one time she wanted to go up to Tallahassee to crawl through the archives, to pull up you know, every document that she could on the Mackay House. And you know, would the city be willing to help with a stipend? And I said, pay for the gas. And you know, if you want to go to the archives for a week, and if you think of that as a vacation, you know, more power to you, and God bless you. And so Connie kind of had this opportunity, and I don't know exactly, and I'll kind of let them tell that story, but connected up with Dean McCracken, and little did we know just the history that was underneath our very feet with the Rosenwald School. Got together and had a presentation. It was actually almost a year ago today that Dean came up and presented the history, and I just had no idea. I'd never heard of the Rosenwald School program, didn't know that we had one here in Lake Alfred, and come to find out there were only 5 in Polk County, and here we are in our very own backyard, had one of the Rosenwald schools. So just a rich history. I'm glad to see this level of engagement and participation. And then also too, little did I know, the Lake Alfred unofficial historian is Commissioner Albertus Maltzby. And anytime someone's presenting, he'll say, well, it didn't really happen that way. And how did he know that? Well, because he was there. So you can't really debate that. Come to find out, this was his alma mater. He actually attended school in the Rosenwald School here in Lake Alfred. So again, just a rich history, and I'm going to pass it on to the next person in the program. But again, give yourselves a round of applause for attending here, and just what a rich history. I actually handed my program out, so I don't know who she is. Connie, if you'll come on up, please. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Thank you, everybody, for being here today. This means a lot to me to have this kind of crowd here for this event. This is big to me. I had a list of people to introduce. Most of them have already been done, so the only ones that I would still like to introduce is our board of directors for the Lake Alfred Historical Society, which is Janet Baldwin, Betty Shin, and Ed Smith is here. And I'd also like to say that Ed Smith is a former county commissioner, so we're very proud of all of our board members, and they do a lot of work for us. Additionally, I would like to say a special thank you to Murtis Young and the entire History Center, the staff of the Polk County History Center. All of them have been wonderful. I cannot tell you how many phone calls and emails I have made to these ladies over the last year working on this project, and they've been very helpful. And also, former staff member Luann Mims, I don't think she's here today, but Luann is actually the person who introduced me to Dean McCracken and said one day when I was at the History Center, Dean was there, and Luann said, "You've met Dean, right?" And I said, "No, I don't know who that is." So she introduced us, and his first words to me were, "Tell me about your Rosenwald School." And I said, "I don't know what you're talking about." So he filled me in, and the rest is history. So let me see to make sure I get everything covered. Our Parks and Recreation Director, Richard Weed, has been invaluable in getting this organized. Judy Stelfo, our City Events Coordinator, has furnished the food. And by the way, after the unveiling, please come in and partake of the refreshments. Also, John Deaton has been very helpful too in getting everything done. I have a very special thank you to Brian Levengood, because I can tell you, as president of the Historical Society, you don't find what he gives us in very many places. He is very supportive, and as you mentioned, the presentation that we did about a year ago, and afterwards there was conversation going on, and I think that it was you who said, "We need a marker." And here we are, a year later, and mission accomplished.
Thank you.
And also, very special thank you to Dean, because without him and without his knowledge, this would not have happened. So, invaluable. Can't say enough about that. The next speaker is going to be Jennifer Bush, who is chairperson for the Lake Alfred Historical Commission, and she will explain a little bit about the process, how the marker gets organized, how it happens, how it all happens. So, thank you.
Good morning, good morning. On behalf of the Polk County Historical Commission, congratulations, Lake Alfred. Give yourself a hand. Day of celebration, it really is. And gosh, this crowd is awesome. That really speaks so highly of this community and the heart that you all have. And on behalf of the Polk County Historical Commission, I think we've got some of our members are here, and I hope you've got a list of them in your program. But let me call out some that I know are here. Jan Parham, if you'll stand. Judy Cleaves. Judy. Let's see. Harriet Rust is in the back. Did any other commission members come in and I missed them? Is that all of us that are here today? Okay, of course, except for one person, which you've already heard from, and that's Connie White. And let me say, Lake Alfred, you are so fortunate to have this woman as your advocate, your leader, the passion for history and heritage and the heart for this community. I mean, I've seen that getting to know her in our commission meetings, and you know, this is one more example. So give her one more hand. I know, sorry, Connie. Now, for those of you who don't know a lot about this historical marker program, it really is a process. It involves, of course, first coming up with a site that's significant historically. Someone's got to get behind that and fill out the application. That involves lots of information. Sometimes it involves some digging and research. And of course, you've got to come up with the recommended wording. What do you want that marker to say? Get a sponsor for the cost of it. And then once it goes in production, the hard part is waiting for the thing to actually be produced and get to the fun part for like we're doing today. But you know, okay, so why is a historical marker so important? You know, why do we go through all of this to do that? Why is that so important? Just think, one day, none of us are going to be here. There's going to come a day when none of us are around. Who will tell your stories? That's what history is. It's just the sharing and passing down of stories, of our lives, of our community. Who's going to be here? How is that going to carry on when we're gone? These historical markers tell the story. It's a permanent storyteller that stands for the entire community. It's history that won't be forgotten. It won't be lost. And I happen to serve as the historian for public supermarkets, and I'm telling you, one of the most frustrating things is when I'm trying to find some information about a particular topic or answer what I call a history mystery for Publix, and there's no documentation, can't find anything that was recorded, and the people who were around at the time aren't here anymore. There's no one to tell that story. That's why it is so important for us to hold on to our history and our heritage, and to do it with like historic markers. Now we encourage, the commission encourages communities, individuals, businesses, organizations to consider applying for markers like this. When everything's approved, it goes into production, and like I said, sometimes that can be weeks or months. I have one, I feel like we've been working on this thing for over a year now, before it's ready to be shipped and then finally unveiled. It's not a complicated process, but it does take time and effort. But I think the most important part of the whole process is having someone who is driving it, who has passion for it, and sometimes it's a team of people that have that spirit to really see the importance and to keep that passion for the heritage and the history going forward. And we've heard from Connie, and she touched on him just a minute ago, but if there's one person who is passionate about history, passionate about heritage, it's Dean McCracken. Many of you know him. Dean is a historian, a researcher, he's a speaker, a presenter. I mean, he does it all. He is a huge asset to Polk County. And he was definitely instrumental in the development of the application for getting this historical marker. So, let me at this time, Dean, can I call you up here to share?
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you. And again, congratulations.
Thank you, Jennifer. Everybody doesn't realize the team that it takes to put up something like this. And I've had so much help from so many people, including the Historical Commission, which Jennifer is the head of, and the Polk County History Center, which Murtis is the head of. And there are people at the History Center that have helped. Maria Tripp has helped. Lois Sherrouse Murphy has helped me a lot. Dorinda Gerard, who is the chief librarian, who is here. Dorinda, could you stand up? Dorinda is one of the best librarians in the Southeast. And I travel the whole Southeast. Thank you, Dorinda, for everything. And thanks to the city of Lake Alfred and the Lake Alfred Historical Society, especially Brian. I really appreciate it. And just to give you a very short idea about the Rosenwald School that was here, this is a picture of it right here. And one of the best things that ever happened to me as a researcher is the first time that I ever came to Lake Alfred. And somebody told me, well, you need to speak with Albertus Maltzby. He knows about that school. Well, it turns out that Albertus did go to that school, but Albertus didn't realize that that was a Rosenwald school. He knew it as Fruitlands Institute. So when we sat down to talk, I showed him a picture of Booker T. Washington and Julius Rosenwald, and then he looked at it, and then I showed him the next picture was this picture. And Albertus's face lit up, and he said, I went to school there. And it was one of the best moments in my research history, because he told me that it was called Fruitlands Institute, and then we talked together about Rosenwald and the Rosenwald School Program. There were 5,357 of these schools built in 15 states across the South. Our school here was a two-teacher type, which meant that there was a classroom on the left, a classroom on the right, and the room in the front with the windows was an industrial room. So there was no such thing as a one-room schoolhouse in Booker T. Washington's world. Booker T. Washington had a one-teacher type school where you would have an industrial shop and you would have a classroom, but that would be a one-teacher but two rooms. So a two-teacher had at least 3 rooms, 3-teacher, 4, etc. But this was the most popular school design of the Rosenwald schools. There were over 900 of these built. This is a picture of the back of it. If you ever have the fortunate luck to find one of these things, and I've found a lot of them, the big bank of windows along the back, usually 16 to 18 panes, is the dead giveaway. It's a Rosenwald school. And this is the floor plan. The Rosenwald Foundation had designs for all the classrooms. And if you could not get your white school board to approve a Rosenwald school, then you could send off as an African American community for the plans for a school, get them for free, and many were built without funding from anybody but the communities. And they also acted as community centers. A lot of people will say a standing Rosenwald school was turned into a community center. Well, that's not true, because they were built as community centers. The people were very proud of their schools, and they had town meetings in them. And it's very appropriate that this Highlands Community Center is right here on the site of a former Rosenwald school. That school was actually just a little bit over this way. And there's a black car parked out there right in front of where the front door of the school was when you go out. But anyway, I wanted to thank everybody, and I too gave my program away, so I don't. So I'll turn it over to Charlie. Thank you, everybody, and thank you so much for coming.
Great job, Dean. Thank you. In my introduction to the people that were here, I missed a couple. Jan, I'm sorry. I mistook you for Jacqueline Bird. And I said, I know her, but it's Jacqueline Bird. But Jan Parner, I'm sorry. And you have been introduced now, officially. We also have the Deputy County Manager, Leanne Thomas, in the group here, who I missed. And everybody knows Ed Smith. He's one of our former commissioners. I didn't mention him either. So I apologize. You've now been mentioned and recognized. So we have a little something that's really not on the program, and we added it yesterday. We're going to have a little musical rendition from the Fruitland Park Community Choir. And they will all come up here and give us a song.
I heard them singing. That's what I was hearing, all this humming and singing.
All right, we got this microphone through the city, and I thank them for that. Thank y'all. Y'all work wonders. I was a part of this community and part of their old school also.
And me too.
And we too. It was a good school, a good learning experience for all of us. Yes, it really was. And I didn't know my other mayor was my friend back there playing the guitar for me at one of his church things that I went to, and he played for me. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You never know who you're hanging with. Okay, this song is called God's Got It. Whatever you want, all you have to say is God got it. God's got it. If you want to participate with us, we'll have it. Whatever you want, God's got it. Whatever you need, God's got it. Whatever you ask, God's got it. Oh, He's got everything you need. Whatever you want, God's got it. Whatever you need, God's got it. Whatever you ask, God's got it. He's got everything. He's got everything you need. If you need more love, God's got it. If you need more peace, God's got it. If you need more sunshine after the rain, God's got it. He's got everything. He's got everything you need. If you need more peace, oh, God's got it. If you need more sunshine after the rain, yeah, God's got it. If you need more love, God's got it. He got everything. He got everything I need. He's got everything you need. He's got everything you need. He's got everything. He's got everything you need. Got everything, yeah. He's got everything you need. All right. Thank you, brother.
That was nice.
All right, we're going to have our next speaker, somebody that comes up here, nobody knows who he is. He just walks around and talks about the Rosenwald School. Our commissioner, Albertus Maltzby.
This is one of my favorite people here. He is a wealth of information and a wealth of knowledge, and every time I have a question about the Highlands community or anything that goes back, this is my guy, and many times he has made, I've called him from the museum and said, we have a question about such and such, and he says, hold on, I'll be right there, and he gets in his truck and he comes down and he answers our question, and I love him. He's the best.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Oh, I'm overwhelmed with joy to see so many come out for this occasion. And maybe I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I was born in the neighborhood in 1931. And I've only been out of the neighborhood about 4 years when I received a draft notice from the President of the United States. Okay, now, the Rosenwald School. It was built in the 20s during the Depression. And I can't understand how this neighborhood raised $600 during the Depression, and the average person in the neighborhood that had a job was making $2.35, and they raised $600. And I always like to refer to the name of one guy up there. His name is Lloyd Burton Sr. Paid the first dollar. How did he get $1? Only making $2.35 for working 50 hours a week and had about 10 kids.
Yeah.
But
That's well.
12.
Yes.
So I can understand him wanting his kids to be educated. And he put in the first dollar, and thanks to the Father, Lord of Fruitlands Company that donated the land, and other friends in Lake Alfred donated $300. That was a lot of money during that time. And when I got the call about the school, do I know the location of what was going on? I said, let me come up there. Mr. McCracken was there. And he showed me this picture. And I said, I might be standing in that picture. So, I'm so grateful to our four parents, everybody that was in Lake Alfred that time, because that was a hard time, and the guy had to work 50 hours a week to make $2.35. That was not very much income to put this together. So they were concerned about us and thought that we need to have some education, and that we got at Fruitland Park School.
Yes,
Because it was a very disciplined place.
yes.
Mr. Henry Hargrove, he took care of the horses and the mules, and he had some extra leather left. It was provided to the school, and it was law and order in that school. Now one thing I've been trying to figure out, I remember from 7th, maybe 5th to 7th grade, was 3 classes in the room. And we had to be quiet while the teacher went to the next class. It might have been 3 of us in 4th grade, 3 or 4 in 5th and 6th. But we didn't make any noise, and we studied, but we were listening at what the next class had. So really, you were in 3 grades for 3 years. You were in 4.
Wow.
It was kind of like your mom would be teaching different kids, kids at a certain age. So would some of the students, or all of the students that attended Fruitland Park School stand with us?
We even helped move into this school.
Right.
They made everybody grab a chair and a desk. And we moved in that day.
And from that
That's
school,
when they improved.
we've had a lot of people that go on to do well.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of educators.
Yeah.
Lots of educators. They're here. Some of them are here today. We've had engineers. We had a doctor. We had guys that did exceptionally well on the battlefront in some of these wars. We had a pilot. We had some great people that came out of this Rosenwald School. And I just want to thank Mr. Gardner. I knew him personally. Fruitlands Institute, that was named after his company. And in 1930s, I remember getting a ride in a new Buick. He would pick us up and take us for a ride. That's the only ride that we would get. The guy that founded the city would pick us up and take us around for a ride. So I'm just thankful for Mr. McCracken and everybody that participated in this, our city, and everybody. You've been so grateful. And we want to come up with another deal here soon, and I'll pay for the marker. What a fruit grower, a fruit picker lived. We had one of the houses. It still exists and in pretty good shape. We would like to mark that place as, you know, a house with no running water, no conveniences, not sealed, and it still exists. They had 22 houses in the neighborhood, and there's a few of them still standing. So let's go unveil the marker.
If you're all ready to go out into the heat, the marker is right outside. Go to the right, you'll see the black thing hanging over it. So that's all they'll meet out there and take some pictures.
Sure? Yes, because I can't want to put that. I'll keep holding my bag then.
Right here, behind you.
All right, is everybody ready? Yeah! We're doing unveiling, and I'm going to count it down. So here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, you're all welcome to come up and read it. And when you finish reading, you can go back inside, get some refreshments, cool off a little bit. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you, everybody.
Doing good.